Hello, I'm Ashley Berry, Director of Government Affairs for the St. Charles Realtors. I'm here today with our legislative update. Joining me today is Missouri State Representative Tom Hannegan. Thank you for joining us, Tom.
Good to be here.
The 2018 legislative session just wrapped up in Jeff City. Can you give our members an update on legislation that was passed that affects our industry?
I sure can, and I got my cheat sheet here so I don't leave anything out. I'm going to give you the small version of this because sometimes bills are quite lengthy. So I'll just kind of give you the snapshot, the overview of it, and then I would encourage people to follow up on the website with this so they can read the full bill. So things that have gone to the governor, either for him to officially have signed already or sitting on his desk, is one of the bills is HB 1887, and that is prohibits a property owners association preventing a property owner from placing political signs on his or her property. So as you know, everybody values free speech. And of course, there's a homeowners association which has governance that regulates certain things, as it should. So, but the opinion of, I guess, the legislator and the gentleman that sponsored this bill is we shouldn't hurt free speech. That should always be a top priority. So even though the homeowners association should have, guidelines and responsibilities about the size and when they can be put out, there should also be relief to the property owner to be able to put out a sign to voice his or her own free speech. So that's what that bill's trying to accomplish, and will be going to the governor's desk. The next one is another House Bill, 1796, that has also been delivered to the governor. And this one's actually going to help real estate people out a lot. What it's going to allow is for first-time home buyers to add to their saving accounts. It's called the First-Time Home Buyer Saving Account Act, and authorizes a tax deduction for contributions to a savings account dedicated to buying a first home. So this is really going to stimulate the economy, help that first home buyer buy the property, and of course help the realtor have more sales. We all like that, money, commission. Yes. That's a good thing. So that's a very positive thing that's happened this year in the legislature. Also delivered to the governor, there is SB 608. This modifies provisions regarding to the liability of property owners when criminal conduct occurs on the property. Now, by meaning of that, now if you're a bar and you're over serving and you're not following the rules, sure, you might be liable. But a lot of times if situations happen beyond your control or what somebody would consider reasonable, and you're not contributing to that, a lot of times if things would happen, it shouldn't fall on the owner to be totally responsible for it. So this provides some safeguards for the owners and really focus where the punishment should be on the party that's responsible for doing the misconduct. So then our next one delivered to the governor. This creates a new provisions relating to unclaimed property. So a lot of times there's these kind of, sad to say, scam artists out there that were actually using this to say, hey, I was able to find unclaimed property for you. And they weren't registered with the state treasurer. They were kind of doing this on their own with no rules or guidelines. And then they would tell people that in order to get this, I need a cut, not the cut that they should get. Sure, you should get a cut for your services, you're working, but they were taking advantage of people. So this sets some parameters and guidelines for people that say, hey, I can help you claim some unclaimed funds that might be out there, and here's how I do it, but it's going to be a safe way to do that where people know what they're getting if they use these people's services.
Wonderful. Sounds like we got a lot of work done.
Yeah, we did. It was a good year. That's a great thing about being up there is that the legislator, both the Senate side and the House side, has members that are realtors. So we are really working with real estate agents on the local, the state, and federal level. We're all a part of this. I myself am a proud realtor. And so we definitely want to work with the Realtors Association and make sure that we're covering all bases.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
So can you tell us about any real estate issues that did not make it into law this year?
Yes, and unfortunately, even with the best intentions, there's only so much time in a day, and it has to go through a lot of processes to get done. And sometimes things just don't meet the finish line. But that doesn't mean we can't bring them up next session. So I'm sure you'll be seeing these. But a few that were on the fast track, but simply just didn't make it. there, let's see, we got one that is about deeds and how to convey real estate to contain certain information. That didn't quite make it through, and basically it's, again, talking about how we transfer deeds and the proper way of doing that. Again, creating safeguards, taking care of the public and people so they're not being, misguided in any way. That's really important. We take a code of ethics as real estate agents, and we want to make sure that we do our best job. If we know something, we have to disclose that. And so we're trying to make sure that there's safeguards in places that the people that don't disclaim things that are held accountable. So one other provision that they're trying to do that didn't make the finish line is they're trying to protect real estate agents. A senator proposed a bill that modifies provisions relating to immunity of real estate licensees. And that, again, is just saying that sometimes we get information from other sources, and we try to make sure it's factual, and we try to look it up, but we can't know every detail, and we rely on what some people tell us, even the homeowners. So don't misunderstand this. If we try to mislead somebody, we're accountable. But if other people are misleading, it shouldn't be solely the responsibility if the real estate agent did not disclose something because they didn't know about it. There's a difference between knowing and not knowing. Right. So this would actually help real estate agents with a little bit of protection. There's also a bill that did not make it through, modifies provisions relating to the publication of notice of the sale of real estate. And as you know, as technology advances and everything, a lot of times people had to put notices in the local newspaper. Well, this is allowing to be able to put things on certain electronic things, but it also has to be certain things where people do have access to it. But it's just going from the print version to a digital version. It's just kind of modifying the times. So that's also, didn't quite make it, but I'm sure we'll see it resurrected for the next session. Let's see, what else do we got here? Those are the big ones that I think that most people would be interested in. Of course, you can find all this information on MissouriHouse.net. It is a guideline, and it has all the bills. You can pull them up. You can do it either by number search or just title search, so you can find out actually the full list of all this, what it's talking about. Again, I gave you a real small snapshot of some of this, but maybe a word or two triggered in their mind, and they'll do some more research.
And do you think that those issues will come up again next year? Will you bring them up?
I do. What happens though, we do have term limits, so we're very careful, and I especially will be careful as long as I'm there. I'm a freshman, so I just got 2 years done, so I have 6 more, hopefully, knock on wood, if I keep getting reelected. But we always try to kind of look at what made it to the finish line and what didn't. And so even if a rep or a senator started something and their time is up, then everything kind of dies. So then you have to resurrect these things. So we have to be really careful, because when they're there in office, of course they're going to try to introduce it the next year. But as with term limits, like I was telling you, if they're gone, it might fall through the cracks. So we really do try to look at what didn't make it through, and then if that representative or senator is not available because of term limits, we'll try to resurrect it.
I see. Thank you. Thank you for that.